for the Dow.
Blasting through a ceiling.
In a record-setting IPO.
Investors who have been riding the wave.
Hi everyone, today we will be presenting our economy group project question 3 about national income. This video are presented by Irdina binti Rusli, Leslie Sef Ambrose, Shasha Fatimi binti Muhammad Izan, Nur Adlina binti Mat Ali and Faiz bin Radiallah from PI 005 UOFAR. The first question is define national income. The value of goods and services provided by a government within a fiscal year is referred to as national income. As a consequence, it is the amount of all a country's economy operations over the course of a year, and it is measured in terms of money, which requires contributions made in the form of salaries, interest, rent, and benefits to all capital. National income is a vague term that is often interchanged with national dividend, national output, and national spending. The rise of a country's national income can be used to gauge the country's success. The second question is, explain the difference between gross domestic product GDP and gross national product GNP. GDP and GNP are two of the most frequently used economic metrics, each reflecting the overall consumer value of all goods and services produced within a given time span. There are variations in how each of them determines the economy's scale. Although GDP confines its interpretation of the economy to countries' regional boundaries, GNP broadens it to cover the country's national net overseas economic activities. The difference is the amount of a country's finished domestic products and services over a given time span is calculated by its gross domestic product GDP. The gross national product GNP is a similar but distinct statistics that measures the worth of all finished goods and services purchased by a country's inhabitants over time. Gross domestic product GDP is the most basic metric for assessing a country's economic health and scale. It is the net retail value of a country's products and services produced domestically. GDP is the most important because it indicates whether the economy is expanding or shrinking. On the other hand, another metric for assessing a country's economic production is the gross national product. GNP is the market value of products and services provided by all inhabitants of a country, both domestically and internationally, while GDP looks at value of goods and services produced within a country's borders. Moreover, GDP is a key input for making investment decisions in a country and can be used to compare the success of two or more economies. It is also assists the government in formulating policies to promote local economic development, while GDP measures the local or national economy. GNP measures how the country's citizens contribute to the economy. It considers citizenship but ignores values. As a result, it's critical to remember that GNP excludes the output of foreign citizens.
In this video, we will discuss what is the uses of national income statistics. One of the uses of national income statistics is to give the current idea about the structure of the economy in terms of sectoral contribution. In Malaysia, there are three main sectors that contribute to the economic growth, which is first, primary sector consists of fishing, agriculture and mining. Secondary sector, which consists of manufacturing and construction, and tertiary sector consists of private and government services. These national income statistics enable us to know the relative importance of the various sectors and the contribution towards the national income. These data, national income statistics, provide a useful analysis of the sectoral contribution, and we learn how much income is produced by different sectors. Furthermore, national income statistics are also being used to determine the national planning. It is an important tool for long-term and short-term economic planning. A country or a government cannot possibly make a plan without having a prior knowledge of the trends in national income. For example, Malaysian plans are drafted by the Malaysian government based on economic performance before the plan formulated for 5 years in the country. Therefore, with these, future forecasts about productive activities in the various sectors of the economy is depend upon this data of national income accounts.
Hello, my name is Leslie Safambros, and today I will present 3 other points of uses of national income statistic. So first point is national income statistic can show us to divide the expenditure between consumption expenditure and also the investment expenditure. So this will enable us to provide for a reasonable depreciation so that they can maintain the capital stock for the community. But too liberal allowance of depreciation can be harmful, as it may unnecessarily lead to a reduction in consumption. So it is also indicates the true domestic net investment. So for example, the Malaysian government presented the budget 2021 where national expenditure was included during that time in the Dewan Rakyat. So before it is presented in Dewan Rakyat, the government has to analyze the national income gain by the country, which is Malaysia, before dividing the expenditure, and also present the decision of the budget in the Dewan Rakyat. So the second thing is national income studies also help to compare the standard living of people in different country, and also people living in the same country at the different time. So in this way, we can measure the increase and also decrease in welfare. So for example, countries such as United States, United Kingdom, and also Japan are considered to have high standard of living because this country recorded high national income. But on the other hand, countries like Vietnam and also Myanmar have a low standard of living because of low national income recorded by their countries. And lastly, national income also allows us to know the relative roles of public and also private sectors in the community, in the economy. If most of the activities are performed by the state, so we can safely conclude that the public sector is playing the predominant role. Hence, despite the limitation and also the conceptual difficulties of national income data and social accounts, their importance and can neither be overlooked nor can be minimized in macroeconomics. So that's all from me. Thank you.
The 5 problems encountered in calculating national income. The first problem found when calculating national income is the types of goods and services. The categories of goods and services that should be included in national income are difficult to identify. Capital valued goods and services are included in national profits, but there are certain goods and services that do not have a related influx in money payments. For example, services performed out of compassion, generosity, and grace rather than for monetary gain have an economic value but little monetary value. The problem is determining if these programs can be counted as part of national income and calculating their monetary worth. As a result, the distinction of the GNP between a highly developed consumer economy and an underdeveloped economy where a significant portion of the national output lies outside the market is meaningless. Hence, the amount of personal services given to oneself cannot be included in the national product or income accounts. Next, the problem encountered in calculating national income is problem of double counting. Double counting refers to the probability of a service, such as raw materials or labor, being counted more than once in national revenue. For instance, a farmer sells 200 rupees worth of maize to a mill owner, who then sells the maize flour to a wholesaler, who then sells it to a customer. The easiest way to prevent this issue is to measure only the worth of all products and services that are consumed at the end of the process. In the calculation of national profits, the task of separating intermediate and final goods is very complicated and acute. The third problem in calculating national income is excluded market transactions such as illegal activities. Global income management prohibits any unauthorized and fraudulent practices, whether commercial or not. Money gained by illicit practices such as piracy, black marketing, gambling, betting, adulteration, extortion, and so on is exempt from national income accounts because these activities are illegal and thus cannot be included. However, Measuring those behaviors is difficult because their meanings or notions can be vary from generation to generation or society to society. Besides that, the problem when calculating national income is the problem of imputed values. Certain goods and services do not come on the market or cannot be brought to market. In such instances, we must assign them meanings. If they had been taken to the market, it means to give or fix their values. Although the method is very rational, it is beset by a variety of functional problems due to the difficulty of imputing or fixing values. Values, on the other hand, are used in the national income accounts after they have been imputed or fixed. However, saying it is better than doing it, imputing values is a challenging problem. For example, how the value fringe benefits and their value varies depending on the conditions, and the costs at which these benefits are available often fluctuate. Last but not least, when calculating national income, the problem is the depreciation. Depreciation refers to a decrease in the value of capital stock or capital goods as a result of wear and tear, constant use, and other factors. Wear and tear or resource use occurs during the manufacturing period, resulting in a reduction in the relative productivity of the plant and machinery due to the obsolescence. However, reliably calculating depreciation is a challenging process since a computer may be used more intensively in one year than in the next. However, the rate of depreciation remains steady despite the fact that it should change after 2 years. Depreciation rates for comparable equipment can vary between business units.
Okay, question E. Explain briefly per capita income. Per capita income is basically the amount of money received per resident in a country or area. It can be used to calculate an area's gross per person income and also assess the population's standard of living as well as quality of life. A country's per capita income is determined by dividing its national income by its population. This includes each man, woman, and infant, including the newborn babies, as a member of the population when measuring the per capita income. This is different with the other traditional measures of an area's wealth, such as household income, which counts all persons living under one roof as a household, and family income, which counts those living under the same roof who are related by birth, marriage, or adoption as a family. Now, the second one, explain briefly growth rate. Growth rates are basically the percentage change of a given statistic over time. Growth rates are commonly used by investors to describe the compounded annualized rate of growth of a company's profits, earnings, dividends, or even macro terms like GDP and retail sales. Two different types of growth rates are used for analysis: expected, forward-looking, and trailing growth rates. Growth rates are used to express the annual change in a metric as a percentage at the most simple level. The average rate of change in a country's GDP, for example, is measured as the growth rate of the economy. This rate of inflation is used to determine whether or not an economy is in a recession. A nation is deemed to be in a recession if its income falls over 2 successive quarters. In comparison, if a country's income has risen for 2 quarters in a row, it is perceived to be expanding.